If you're a studio owner struggling to make money from your dance studio, let's talk about why that is. My name is Hervin Alvarez. We own a company called Get More Students where we help dance studio owners with increasing enrollment, saving time, reducing workload, and we do that through the use of marketing and automation. So if you're a studio owner looking to grow your dance studio, subscribe to the channel. What I'm doing is currently grabbing all of the lessons that I'm learning from working with over 200 dance studio owners. I'm sharing it here in this channel. So again, if you want to learn more about the latest strategies for growing your studios, subscribe. Okay, so let's talk about potentially why you're not making any money from your dance studio. I speak to a lot of studio owners who are struggling, to pay themselves, pay their bills, and sometimes in an extreme case, I chatted with this dance studio owner a while ago who was not able to pay both her studio lease and her mortgage for her house at the same time on the same month. So some months she would pay her dance studio rent, her lease, and then on some other months she would pay her mortgage, her house mortgage. And so she would kind of live in this juggling where she would juggle like both of those things at the same time. She was always struggling financially. And so if that is you, if that is you, then this video, you definitely need to listen to this video. But if you're struggling to make any money from your dance studio, let's talk about it. Is it possible to make any money from your dance studio? Do people even make money with dance? And the answer is yes, of course. I speak to some studio owners, a few that we're working with, who have $1 million dance studios. They're multiple millions of dollars dance studio. They're doing really well for themselves, and they don't even work that much. Some even take 6 months vacation with their studio running on their own. And so, how is that possible? How are some studio owners really successful? And why is it? Is it that they've been around for such a long time? Is it that they're just in a really good city and like that's it? Or is it like they got somehow lucky and people came to them before? Like, did they get lucky? Like, why are some studio owners really successful? And it's gonna sound obvious when I say it right now, and it's gonna sound like it's common sense, but it's not what I see most studio owners do, which is the business owners, the studio owners that are very successful, making millions of dollars at their studio in revenue and paying themselves really well. The difference for them is that they treat their dance studio like a business. And that's ultimately what it comes down to. It's they make business decisions as opposed to, artistic decisions. For example, in fact, I was speaking to one studio owner recently and I asked her, I'm like, why are you so successful? And why do you think other studio owners are not successful? And she said, well, a lot of studio owners, a lot of studio directors, the reason why they're not successful is because they're very artistic. They just want to express their art. They don't see their dance studio as a business. And that's what it ultimately comes down to. So what does that even mean? And so I'll give you a personal example. Back when I first started as a dance instructor for 5 years, I was barely making any money. I was making like $1,100 to $1,300 on like the best months, to maybe $1,500 when I got like real lucky. And that was like for 5 years. And I was like living in financial fear, barely able to pay my rent and food and phone. And I was struggling, and I was like living very frugally. I was very afraid because I was just struggling financially. And so it didn't click for me why that was. And so I thought, I teach very good classes. I'm a good dancer. Like, why are not more people coming to me? And, I didn't understand. And so a lot of times it was the fact that, in my head, I thought in order to have a very successful dance studio, I just have to be a better teacher, which is partly true. Yeah. But partly too is like, you also gotta treat your dance studio like a business. And what does a business need? You need to market your business. You need to have people, you need to learn how to sell. And to me, I didn't want to do that because it felt like, oh, I just want to focus on my art. I just want to focus on teaching the classes that I love. I don't want to sell out and like do things that I don't like. I don't want to like market and like I shouldn't even have to market my classes. I should be just so good that people just come in. And that's unfortunately not true at all. You have to market your dance studio. For example, that's one of the things that, being able to treat your business, your studio like a business. You have to focus on marketing. You have to focus on sales. Do you know what to say when new parents or when new students come in? What to say, what to do to get them to enroll? These are things that not a lot of studio owners pay attention to or even focus. What they're mostly concerned about is, choreographing, what kind of costumes to buy, and things like this that are more artistic in nature. And so that's a lot of times why studio owners struggle with their finances, is because they don't pay any attention to them. The other thing too is shows up in the schedule. For me, I wanted to teach the most advanced classes that I can. When I first opened up, when we first opened up our dance studio, I used to want to have our schedule like, I just want to teach like this really cool, fancy classes and the most advanced classes that I didn't get to see anywhere in other studios. And I wanted to do that because that's what I was excited about teaching. But in reality, none of those classes were well attended. And on the other hand, my beginner classes, because we used to teach a dance studio for adults, my beginner classes were the best attended classes, but I didn't want to add more of them because that's not what I was passionate about. I wanted to share my passion with my most advanced students. I wanted to teach those, choreograph for them and so on. And so that's what I also see with a lot of studio owners where, they focus on just what they want to do, what they want to teach. They don't want to pay any attention to the other classes that perhaps are bringing the money in. And so what make the biggest difference for us in our studio is when we change our schedule and we shifted. I mean, like we wanted to make more money. And so we decided to try. We're like, okay, we'll just open up more beginner classes. And every day that we were open, we offered 2 beginner classes back to back. And things started to take off, and those were the most popular classes. And eventually, like they were always full, and we always had new people coming in, and they loved the fact that they have many options with their schedule. And so, and we just started gaining a lot more students because we had those beginner classes. And eventually, I ended up really loving teaching beginners, but that was something where I was like, I don't want to sell out and like just focus on beginners. I just want to teach like what I'm really passionate about. But, and sometimes as artists, we have this notion like if we do something that is more commercial, we're selling out. When in reality is this, if you don't make money from your dance studio, you're not going to have a dance studio. You're not going to be able to pay your bills. You're not going to be able to stay open. You're not going to be able to pay yourself. And you're going to have to work a job that you really don't like. And so that was the decision that I made. I'm like, am I going to want to work a job that I don't like and then come here and teach this, like my most advanced classes as a hobby? Or would I rather teach beginners that, I could enjoy doing, not as much as my advanced classes, but I can enjoy teaching beginners and do that and make more money. And that's the decision that I ended up doing. I see, I spoke to this studio owner who owns a dance studio for kids. And when I spoke to her, we were talking about her schedule. And I said, okay, how many new recreational students can you take? And she said, not many. I said, why? And she said, well, because I have a lot of spaces already being taken by my competitive kids. And she's like, my competitive kids are the ones paying me the most amount of money, so I have to have all this space. And I said, oh, cool. How much are they paying you? $250 for unlimited classes. I said, okay, that's great. How much does a recreational student pay you? $70. And so in her mind, like she's like, okay, 250 is more than 70. But when we did the math, I had her do the math. I said, okay, how many classes do the average competitive student take? And she's like, anywhere from 6 to 11. And we ended up doing the math. It turns out like the money that she was making from the tuition money she was making from her competitive kids was about like $3 a class, $3.50 per class, versus the money that she was making per class for every recreational student. So it was about like $15 to $18 per class, or 15 to 20 or something like that, but way more. $3.50 versus $15 or $20. So she had never seen it that way. And on top of that, she didn't also want to see it that way because her competitive kids is what she enjoyed teaching, is what she loved choreographing. She loved, like, these were her favorite because they were more advanced. And so that's what I mean by treating your business like a business, is understanding like, okay, what are the classes that are making me the most money, regardless of like, like I may not love teaching beginners as much, but that's what I need to focus on if I want to make more money. And ultimately, again, if you want to teach advanced classes, you can, but don't make that like the sole focus of your studio. So you could have a balance, but at the end of it, it's just that. Okay, let's finish up the video with saying, if you want to make more money as a dance studio owner, you totally can. Making money as in the dance industry is totally possible. We're currently working with a lot of studio owners who are making a good living for themselves teaching dance. And the reason why they do it is because they treat their dance studio like a business. They don't make emotional decisions based on what they love, but rather they look at, what's currently working, what are the classes bringing me the most amount of money, and let's set up the schedule. Let's set it up in a way where we're doing more of the things that are working and less of the things that are not working. And so, for example, having your schedule mostly taken up by the competitive students who are only paying $3.50 per class, and that's limiting the amount of growth that you can have from your recreational students because you don't have the space to take up that many recreational students, because again, most of your space is taken up by the competitive kids. That's not a smart business decision. And so being able to make these decisions of what's currently working, what's making more money, that's how you have to see it if you want to start making more money. And so I'll just leave it here. If you're a dance studio owner, I hope this has been helpful. And it just opens your eye a little bit. You might be resistant to this idea at first, because I know I was for many years. I'm like, I don't want to sell out. But ultimately, I'm like, man, if I don't do something about my financial situation and start figuring out I'm just tired of not making any money, then if you don't make a change, you're not gonna start making more money. And if money is not everything, but you need to make money as a dance studio owner if you want to keep doing this for a really long time, and if you want to have a business that you want, like if you want to have your doors open for a really long time, you need to make some money. And so anyway, with that said, thank you all so much for watching. If you've enjoyed this video, then subscribe to the YouTube channel. If you are a dance studio owner looking to grow your dance studio, if you're like, man, you know what? Yes, let's grow this dance studio. Let's see how we can increase our enrollment. Let's see how we can start making more money. We can help you. Go to getmorestudents.com. Book a call there with us. We'll chat about our program with you. We'll ask you a few questions to see if we can help you. And yeah, we're looking forward to helping you. Again, thank you so much for watching. See you all in the next video.